What is unique about an 812-acre farm located in Hole-in-Wall, Tennessee? What's 32 miles long and can't be seen from the air? Who designed the Lone Ranger's mask? These answers and more coming up.
Hi, I'm Vicki Lee, and we're going on a journey to discover intriguing information located all over the state of Tennessee, just waiting to be uncovered. We are discovering Tennessee treasures. Here's one of our first discoveries. What's approximately 32 miles long and can't be seen from the air. It's one of the largest of its kind, and you could be standing right on top of it and never even know it. Can you guess? Well, we're going to go to the Cumberland Plateau as Dirk Buller takes us spelunking.
Well, I've got the boots, I've got the clothes, and now I've got the helmet. So it's time to go spelunking or exploring inside Tennessee's largest show cave, Cumberland Caverns. You want to go? Let's go. Here we go. You better hold on tight. The climate underground is a constant 56 degrees Fahrenheit year-round and very damp. The humidity is 99%. There are 32 miles of explored underground territory that make up Cumberland Caverns, which once ranked as the second largest cave in America. Since new underground territory continues to be explored and mapped across America, this ranking is constantly changing. The entrance of the cave opens into a deep, large area known as the Volcano Room. A chandelier from the Loew's Metropolitan Theater in New York lights the enormous cavern. It is so large that it can house up to 500 people at a time. The resident cave expert has explored these caves since he was a young boy. Joining me now is Lewis Lehman, also known as the Tennessee Caveman here at Cumberland Caverns. Lewis, welcome to the show. What can you tell me about how the Cumberland Caverns are made?
Cumberland Caverns, like all caves, are eroded by water, carved by what we call phreatic development of water carving through the cave passageways. And this is while the cave was completely underwater.
The caves are living. They are constantly growing and changing. Therefore, to touch the cave walls like this spot will forever stunt its growth. I wondered if we'd see any animals in the cave. None were visible. Yet I was told that bats, rodents, and other wildlife did inhabit the cave at times. As we look at the various textures in the cave, the ceiling has pockets of water still dripping from its porous surface. You'll also discover something called cave popcorn, small kernels of calcium deposits attached to the cave ceiling. Very rarely is there any chance that a ceiling will cave in. The process is gradual. Change takes place over thousands of years. It's more of a crumbling effect.
Rock here is decomposing into soil.
So the rock is basically just deteriorating,
crumbling away. Mm-hmm.
The rock formations in Cumberland Caverns have recognizable shapes, many of which have been named. There's Moby Dick, whose formation rises from fresh spring water. The chessmen rise to great heights. We have to climb at least 50 feet to this section of the cavern. Past the chessmen, we head toward the formation known as the King's Throne.
So we have the pure white calcium formations being formed, and the water dripping down is forming the calcium carbonate in the white layers over the brown now.
You'd be surprised to know the highest point in the caverns.
We know that it's 159 feet straight up to the surface at this point here.
We aren't the only ones to explore this cave. The original explorer of the cave dated back to 1810 when Aaron Higginbotham made his discovery quite by accident. After going in, his torch blew out,
Leaving him stranded, perched on a high ledge, and legend has it that he spent 3 days sitting there in the total darkness with no light, and legend has it that his hair turned white from the ordeal.
Other explorers also left their mark.
And Dirk, here we have Sheila Waters' name on the ceiling, one of the original explorers of the cave in 1869. They probably were carrying a torch that may have been 2 or 3 feet in length and could have easily stood here and reached the ceiling.
So they did this by burning?
Yeah, with soot from an oil lamp or a candle flame, one or the other.
Now if people ride on cavern walls, it's considered destructive. As we continued through the cave, we discovered that it was also used during the Civil War by soldiers for mining. Minerals obtained from the caves allowed soldiers to make gunpowder for their rifles. This extraordinary cave proves that you never know what wonder may be right under your feet.
What is unique about an 800-acre farm located in Hole-in-Wall, Tennessee? We're going to take you to this special farm with some unusual residents, and you'll find out just how unusual they really are. We're just outside of Hohenwald, Tennessee. We're about 30 miles west of Columbia and about 90 miles southwest of Nashville. This is the 812-acre farm that you've heard about. Tara, Barbara, and Jenny all live here. Let's go meet these three young adults.
They're elephants. Can you believe we can find elephants in Tennessee? This farm is the first natural sanctuary for elephants in the United States. Why an elephant sanctuary? Let's ask one of the founders, Carol Buckley.
A sanctuary because it's about time that these animals that are actually wild born but kept in captivity, finally they need a place that is developed to meet their needs.
Tara was the first resident of this haven for elephants. Carol first met Tara when she was imported from Thailand to promote a tire store business in California.
At the time that Tara lived at the tire store, her name was Fluffy. And about a year and a half after I started working with her, I convinced her owner that she deserved a name change.
Carol also decided to buy Tara with a $25,000 loan. They appeared in circuses and amusement parks until performing became tedious for Tara.
I didn't see anything out, on the horizon, other opportunities for elephants besides performing, doing rides, or being on exhibit.
After trying all these options, Carol made a discovery.
This is not meeting the need of this species, and obviously there is no place in existence yet that does in captivity. Of course, in the wild it does. And so that's when I decided I need to help found a sanctuary that provides for elephants and provides them with the needs that are so simple and so basic to them, but that's never been done before. And that's what I decided I needed to be a part of.
So how did Tennessee become the location for the only elephant sanctuary in the United States?
We looked everywhere. Hohenwald, Tennessee has the climate, it has the terrain, it's rural enough yet close enough for us to make sure that we can provide for the elephants. Basically what we were seeing is a habitat and terrain much like Southeast Asia. We even have indigenous bamboo that grows here at the sanctuary that is natural to an Asian elephant's diet.
Since this beginning, 2 more elephants have moved here, Jenny and Barbara.
Where you going, Barb?
Both have had tragic lives in captivity in which they both developed emotional and physical scars. Now that they reside at the sanctuary, they are able to become healthy elephants again without the trauma that is sometimes created while in captivity. How do they feel about being here? Scott Blaze, the other founder of the sanctuary, works with Carol to take care of the elephants.
An elephant is not just this thing just standing there for you to see. It's just walking, grazing, talking creature that really has a soul and has emotion and expresses those different emotions. One thing that I definitely think we can learn from elephants is lack of aggression. Aggression in humans is very prominent. We tend to solve everything by yelling and screaming and arguing. Elephants have this understanding, a better grasp of everything that's going on around them. Humans tend to live in the moment and tend to react in the moment and react negatively. Elephants will respond in a very positive way if they're allowed to be elephants.
Raising an elephant can be a lot like raising a child. They have a very long childhood. It takes them about 20 years to get full grown. They go through the same phases that humans do with the infancy, the terrible twos, the preteens, and all that. So as she was growing and maturing, she was teaching me what she needed. And so it was a learning experience. It was pretty phenomenal.
Elephants play, run, and make all kinds of interesting sounds to express how they feel.
Well, they all have personalities and they all have moods. And I think Tara is probably the most moody because I think she's about the most spoiled.
When Jenny gets very excited, she thumps her trunk on the ground, and it's like an exclamation point. It'll almost be quiet again, and Jenny will all of a sudden just thump her trunk on the ground one more time. It's like, okay, I got the last word.
They lie down to sleep, and they tuck their trunk underneath their chin and pull their feet up and get real cozy, and then they start snoring. I think Tara's the loudest.
After visiting this elephant sanctuary, you can't help but feel that elephants deserve to have a place to retreat after being in captivity. Carol and Scott have many future plans for the elephant sanctuary. They are always looking for elephants in need and can expand the sanctuary to accommodate up to 100 elephants.
So the next time you're driving around Tennessee and you hear a herd of elephants, don't be alarmed. They're just your neighbors right here at home.
Who designed the Lone Ranger's mask? Find out in a moment.
Who designed the Lone Ranger's mask and outfit? Well, we'll take a look at this Tennessee resident to discover just how he created this fascinating bit of entertainment history.
The Lone Ranger's mask is as famous as his horse Silver, but I bet you didn't know a local Nashville designer, Manuel, designed not only his mask, but his outfit too.
He was the ideal cowboy of my time when I was growing up. To get to do the mask and his uniform and his boots and his holsters, and undescribable. I just can't, I don't have the words to express it. I made the pattern according to the traditional way the masks were made. And then I had a face made up of clay, and then I just shaped the mask over the eyes, over the face, and so it would fit just perfectly well.
Manuel says the Lone Ranger was very thankful to him for making the outfit, and they became great friends.
We are good friends to this day. Clayton Moon is one of the most wonderful people, and he's well fed. He actually, right now, looks exactly like he was so many years ago.
The Lone Ranger's not the only one to wear a Manuel design. Country singers and stars have been wearing his clothes for years. One of his best clients is Marty Stewart.
I've been dressing him up since he was about probably 12 years old when I started, and to this day. And I don't know where in the world he puts all these outfits that I keep making almost every week for him.
All of Manuel's designs are made in his Nashville store by hand. It takes weeks to create the perfect jacket for his famous clients.
One of the most important things is that I should see them perform first. I think that if I don't know how they deliver their craftsmanship, I will never know what to do for them. And the other part is that I always require for them to give me some look into themselves, like old pictures of the family, and so I can kind of see which way they were going.
Some of his famous clients include Sylvester Stallone, John Travolta, and Johnny Cash. I asked the famous designer if there was a special star he would like to create an outfit for.
Sometimes when I hear about a new kid in town, or a new, somebody that is, doing something out there.
How fast can you run? Well, it's a good bet you'll never run as fast as the woman in this story. She was known as the fastest woman runner in the world.
Yes, during the 1960 Olympics in Rome, Tennessean Wilma Rudolph earned the title, the fastest woman in the world. But this great athlete and speedster was lucky to be alive, let alone running for gold medals. As a little girl in Clarksville, Wilma was very sick with double pneumonia and scarlet fever, followed by polio. This left her unable to walk properly until she was 11 years old. But her friend Jean Washer says that didn't stop Wilma.
She had a lot of God-given talent, and she was able to take advantage of that.
Wilma ran track during high school and college, but it was in the 1960 Olympics that she fulfilled her dreams of running like the wind. She won a gold medal in the 100-meter race, the 200-meter race, and another as a member of the 400-meter relay team. The little girl some thought would never walk had raced her way to the top, but she didn't let success go to her head.
She was just a down-to-earth person that, like your next-door neighbor or something that you'd sit down and talk to about what's going on. You wouldn't have thought in sitting down and talking with her she was a famous athlete.
The race of life ended for Wilma Rudolph in 1994, but she will always be remembered as the Clarksville native who overcame incredible obstacles to reach her dreams. This statue in the Clarksville-Montgomery County Museum is a lasting tribute to a great woman and athlete. There's even a street named after the hometown hero.
She was very proud of her career and proud of what she accomplished and proud of what she had done in the African-American community. She's already down in history as a great athlete, and I think there's not many around that's accomplished what she's accomplished. And this community is very proud of her.
Wilma Rudolph, the fastest woman in the world and truly a Tennessee treasure.
Name a state park that's located right in the middle of a Tennessee city. Can't think of an answer? Well, then let's take a look.
Most state parks are located outside of a city, yet this state park is different, very different. It's located right in the heart of downtown Nashville, complete with official park rangers. This 19-acre state park was designed for Tennessee's 200th birthday, which was celebrated in 1996, thus the name Bicentennial Capitol Mall. Thurman Mullins is a state park ranger.
The term mall originally meant a large open grassy area where people gathered. And over the years, people started meeting and gathering in courthouse squares, and then they built shopping centers.
Though the term mall has a different connotation to us today, this mall takes us back to the original meaning of the word. As we tour the park, there are many symbolic architectural elements. One highlight even places you in a position to make a choice at the Civil War section of the history wall.
There were a lot of Tennesseans that didn't care about the Union, they didn't care about the Confederacy. They had to make a choice. They either had to go with the North or the South.
Perhaps the largest granite map in the world is right under your feet. Here you can walk from West Tennessee to East Tennessee in just a matter of minutes. There's the 31 fountains and the walkway of counties. Each of the 95 counties has a time capsule buried below its nameplate. At the Court of the Three Stars, we discover why the Tennessee flag was designed with 2 stars on top.
It's probably one of the most often misflown flags in the nation. The gentleman that designed the flag said he didn't want any one division of Tennessee, being West, Middle, and East, to think it was any more important or less important than another. So he designed it with 2 kind of at the top, 1 kind of at the bottom.
This is certainly a fascinating journey through 200 years of Tennessee's history and heritage. And now, when someone asks you to find the only state park that's in a city, you'll know the answer. Name the second most fortified city during the war between the states. Next.
Name the second most fortified city during the war between the states. Now, Washington, D.C. was the first. Do you know the answer? Nashville. Now, because of its importance, one such face-off was the Battle of Spring Hill.
Rippavilla Plantation in Spring Hill, Tennessee looks like a real-life war zone full of Confederate and Union troops as thousands take part in one of the largest battles of the Civil War, the Battle of Spring Hill. During the Civil War, Nashville was the second largest fortified area. They needed all the troops and forts to protect the food, clothing, and ammunition the South was storing in Nashville. The South General Hood had a very aggressive plan of attack on the Union Army. But a series of misunderstandings and lack of communication almost destroyed his Confederate army. When he attacked the Union troops, they fought back with a vengeance, and many young soldiers, ages 18 to 30, were killed.
In most cases, when it comes to history, you actually only get to read about it. But we're taking you back in history, and you're going to experience it firsthand with the Battle of Spring Hill.
The issue of slavery has always been a hot topic between the North and South. Rebel yells and gunpowder fill the fighting grounds as young men give their lives for their country. Can you imagine being a young soldier from the North, away from home for the first time, and waiting in the bushes for the other side, only to come face to face with a family member who is a soldier from the South? This war would destroy and separate families for years after it was over. The fighting tactics were very out of date. The war introduced the musket, which had a farther range and a more accurate of a hit. Unfortunately, most of the commanders and generals were old and still used out-of-date war maneuvers. Instead of using a sneak attack, they would simply line the soldiers up side by side and 2 deep and march straight towards the enemy lines. The young men were mowed down by the powerful and accurate muskets. Remember, there were no tanks, automatic weapons, or walkie-talkies to communicate with. These men had only their guns and cannons. The muskets were quite simple to use. You would pour the powder into the gun and ram the cartridge with your pinky sticking out. Just in case the gun went off, you would only lose a finger and not your whole hand. The soldiers were told to stand ready, aim, and fire. They carried very few things with them.
In this bedroll here would be maybe a spare shirt, if lucky a couple of pair of socks, and everything that he would need to sleep on would be in his bedroll, which would be tied up, we call it donut. A deck of playing cards, toothpaste, period toothpaste, toothbrush, maybe a sewing kit, a couple of extra items, whatever he personally could carry. And because he really couldn't carry a whole lot with him, so they had to carry light.
Their shoes are called Rogaines and were very lightweight and the most comfortable shoes of the time. There wasn't a right or a left shoe. Many soldiers would hike and march up to 40 miles a day in a pair of Rogaines. This massive reenactment of the Civil War brought together thousands of reenactors. It's organized by the Nashville-based 1864 Tennessee Campaign Incorporated. The war isn't the only historical recreation at Ripa Villa.
Step right up, folks!
Merchants line up in their Civil War best to sell and peddle their goods to would-be buyers who wanted a taste of the good old life. The women also dress in authentic dresses from this period. Gowns are full and full of color. Lively music fills the mansion yards as musicians try to lift the spirits of the war-weary. With interest and events like this, history will never die, but continue to live in the eyes of the present.
Well, we've seen a lot of interesting facts about Tennessee, and there are many more waiting to be discovered. You never know where we'll turn up next. You too may even uncover your own Tennessee treasures. See you next time.